All right. Rob got a new phone, so I didn't hear the notification rattle.
Nope. That's
Fuck.
probably done.
Hmm.
So, yep, new phone.
New phone.
New
There you go.
phone.
And we can always talk about that too. Okay, so everyone, welcome to Masculine Geek number 74.
Did you
One
hear
of the,
that?
I did not know. Maybe too
Well,
low. Maybe too low.
that may be, but that was the indicator saying that the show's live.
Gotcha. All right, we're live. So
Yep.
Masculine Geek number 74, Wednesday, one of the best days of the week, and one of the best shows on the internet. One of the best shows on the internet. One of the best. And it's up there. I think it says one of the top 10. I mean, it's patting ourselves on the back, but we're allowed to do that. This is our show, and Rob is a villain. So Rob got a new phone. You want to
Yes,
talk?
I did.
You want to discuss? You want to talk about that, or are you done talking about that?
Oh no, it's a Moto One Action is the
Ooh.
what it is called.
Right.
It's a midline phone as far as the Motorola line. You know, because every brand has their flagships and then has their like their El Cheapos and then your midline, I guess you could say. Well, that's what the Moto One Action is. It's midline.
Gotcha.
It's not like the G8 or the Z4 or something like that are more of their flagships, but they're also like $500 to $800 type of thing too. This phone ran me $250, which I'm not happy about that. That part, it's like, that fucking hurts. But so far, it's a good phone. I didn't know a lot about it, to be honest. I just was looking more at general reviews, as in what was the negatives and what was the price tag, and in general, what were people saying about it? And in general, it got like 4 out of 5 stars, and most people were pretty happy with it. It had a couple of negatives that it's like I'm going to have to keep an eye on to see if it happens for me or not. But beyond that, it does have, from what I've read, the camera functions in it. The camera itself, I guess, is actually kind of mediocre, but the features that the camera is able to do is actually quite interesting, especially for shooting video. And that's why it's called the Action, because there's, I guess, another one that's called the Vision or something like that. That's the sister or the brother to this phone, and that one is, I guess, has got a better camera, but it's more for snapshots. So I'm gonna have to play with it some more, like obviously this weekend, and see what it does as far as video and whatnot goes.
Okay.
So that's right. Cool. I'm talking about my boomer phone, Nick Shoelander. McTubus, what up, guys? Sast. God, I haven't seen Sast for a minute.
He was here on the Rogue broadcast for a little bit.
Was he?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. I don't think he was on the Rogue one. I know he's been on a few of them recently, but I swear to God he wasn't in that one.
Maybe he wasn't, or if he was, maybe just what the fuck? Maybe just for a few minutes.
Yeah, maybe. But it's definitely longer than my old phone.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's actually a little bit wider too. So all the women, that's what she said, longer and wider. So that is something that is different from my old phone. And what was really
do you use that like, my phone's wider and longer now, ladies?
I haven't had the chance to try that out yet.
Thanks,
I'm gonna have
Bacon.
to give that a shot. One of the things that was really funny though, I don't know if it was on this show or if I was hanging out with, I know it was Bullrush who said it about when I was bitching about my old phone dying and whatnot. He's like, oh, you just need to find yourself an Indian, a couple of those Indian guys, and they'll take it apart and change the battery out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, the funny thing is today, guess what I found?
An Indian guy.
Well, not an Indian, but I found a shop that's exactly what they do.
So they jailbroke it for you?
Well, no, this phone's untethered. It's already jailbroke. It's not tied to any one carrier. But when it comes to my old phone, if I wanted to take it in and have them replace the battery so I have it as a backup in case this one breaks, dies, gets stolen, gets lost, whatever, I can actually, I can actually take it to them and they'll replace the battery in it. So, but I was like, Jesus, here I've just find you guys, and yet it's not even been a week yet, and I already got a new phone. So what do you do?
Very cool. So overall, you're happy with it?
Oh yeah, not happy with the price tag, but dude, I wouldn't have been happy if I paid $100 for it. It's like $50 or something. Okay, I'd have been happy then, but that's just the tightwad in me. So, but otherwise, it's good fun. Bit, what up?
Yeah, everyone, good to see everyone in the chat. This is this one's no guest tonight. We're just flying by the seat of our pants. We're not doing any add-ons. We're just gonna get us three tonight. So I'm gonna save most of the Peanut Gallery add-ons for a rogue broadcast for the most part. And coming up in July and looking into August, almost every Wednesday will be a guest. So we're looking forward to that. We have some good ones coming up.
Oh hell yeah! That's right.
Yep.
Hey, thanks, Bit.
Which ones are you referring to?
My villain video.
Oh, the villain. Oh, that's the context of that. Okay.
Right, because I wore this shirt in it.
I think I saw. It's been a while though. That's almost a year now.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that exactly. I want to say I think I shot that one like last September. I think somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. In fact, it was. I think it was even before the Village by the Sea. So okay. I know it was when I was just rocking the chin hair and not the full beard.
Gotcha.
So
that's right. Village by the Sea. You had the chin hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say it was before that. You know what? I could fucking look. I have my browser open. Gee, golly williker, guys.
There you go. You're all set and ready to go.
Fuck, I'll tell you what.
Throw it in the chat so people can go back and look at that.
Go watch it and reminisce.
That's right.
All right. Well, let me find it because now I am curious when I did that video because it's been a while. That much I know.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rob's doing that. How are you, TJ?
Doing good.
Nice. Very cool.
I actually have a geek show and tell. It's not much of a geek thing, but I might as well show it. 1 second. I forgot to grab it.
Cool.
10 months ago, August 20th.
Okay. Right before the Village by the Sea.
Yep. Yeah, about a month before. Here, guys, a little blast from the past. Something for the Peanut Gallery to enjoy. Now I got to open up the other window.
Bull Rush. What's up, brother?
Hey, where's all the likes at, you guys? What the hell?
Seriously. You know what to do. For fuck's sake.
So I might as well show my geek and tell. First one is I'm going to be a shameless promoter. This is the physical copy of my new book.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
I got to pick that up.
So it's actually really cool the way that the printing came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, so I mean, this one says not for resale, which was ridiculous, but
is that your proof copy?
Yeah, it was the proof copy. I just had to make some minor changes. So now it's available for $6 on Amazon, which that was the nice thing about having it such a short book is the physical copies. This is, as a side note, this is why I'm going to write really short stuff probably in the future, or sell them in short installments, because $6 for a paperback, people are going to buy that.
Yeah, anything under $10 is really a good sell.
Hell yeah!
I think mine's $7.99. It's a short read.
Yes. The other geek and tell is Lucky Strike cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
So you took up smoking.
Where did you get this? I forget.
So I was hanging out with my brother, and he smokes. So we're working on my car. That's why I wasn't there last week, and that's a whole nother episode topic, because it didn't last just one day. But we were out grabbing stogies, and we were at the tobacco shop, and I just was curious. So I went up to the guy and said, "Do you guys sell Lucky Strike cigarettes? I know it's British owned or something like that. I don't remember what it was." And he said, "We do, and they're actually really popular." So he pulled out, I think they had 1 pack left that I got. And the crazy thing is, Lucky Strike cigarettes, what is it missing?
The filter.
Yep, there are no filters on these cigarettes.
You probably didn't need one. Just straight up tobacco. It's like a cigar. There's no filter on a cigar.
Right. The crazy thing is it tastes smoother. Like smoking a cigarette, it's smoother than pipe tobacco. But
so you've tried one?
Yeah, I've smoked a few. And to be honest, people are like, oh, once you get your first pack, it's over. I don't have any desire to smoke.
Yeah.
Like I just did it because it was like, it's harmless, like little novelty for me to have a pack of Lucky Strikes. I mean, when I'm done with the pack, I'm probably going to just leave it there on my desk next to my other World War II stuff. For people who don't know, Lucky Strikes were kind of like the top tier cigarette pack that people would be looking for in World War II.
I was going to say, weren't they given out to the soldiers?
They gave out cigarettes like candy, but the thing was that when they would ship all the stuff from the U.S., it would arrive at in Europe or in England or whatever, and that's when guys started like skimming off the top. So by the time guys like on the front lines actually got a hold of the cigarettes, it was always the third-rate cigarettes. It was never the top-tiered stuff. Lucky Strikes was considered to be the best tobacco, and there were other packs. But yeah, my grandpa, they got issued whiskey and cigarettes, and he traded his whiskey with other guys for cigarettes because he likes cigarettes.
Cool.
They're safe for the powers of asbestos. Yeah.
Just you with his nuggets of knowledge, man. I'm telling you.
The thing
What's up, Skelton?
Yeah, people. It's so funny that parents back in the day, their worst fear is that their kid would grow up and smoke cigarettes, and I get why it's not.
The least of everyone's worries right now.
Yeah, it's like my son came home, as I was telling my brother, I go, if my son came home and said, Dad, I smoked a couple cigarettes, but like, yeah, don't get into the habit. It's expensive. It's not healthy. You want to be in good shape. Now, if he comes back home and says, Dad, I am a communist, like that, my reaction is not like we should treat them with like, that's when you feel like a failure as a parent, as opposed to when your kid's smoking cigarettes. And the other thing is, as I've pointed out, with friends of mine who are big into weed or whatever, they talk about how it's healthier than cigarettes. I go, yeah, we didn't beat the Axis forces smoking dope, right? We beat them, like we had chain smokers who win the war. So I'm not saying that people should smoke. I'm just like, and the other thing that I really find hypocritical about modern society is the same people who say we shouldn't smoke cigarettes are the same ones popping these highly addictive antidepressant pills that completely destroy their system. It's like, just like, well, the doctor prescribed it. They didn't prescribe cigarettes, but there used to be doctors putting out ads saying these are my favorite cigarettes and whatever. So it's a stress relief, like, it's like an emergency stress relief. Like you're in a life and death situation and you're trying to remain calm. You got your cigarettes, right? Like that kind of thing.
The last thing you're worried about is your fucking lung health.
Yeah, if you're gonna,
you're not worried about.
I got bullets flying over my head, but my goddamn lungs are pink.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there was this famous quote. There was this private who was about to get on his aircraft to fly out on D-Day, and they'd be passing out cigarettes, and the common refrain that these guys would hear is, "No thanks, I don't smoke." The guys would hand him a cigarette pack anyways and say, "You will when you get there." Okay? The other one is my grandpa flew the deadliest flight route in the world. He flew the Hump, which is from India through the Himalayas into China to deliver them supplies.
The Himalayas?
Yeah, it was called the Skyway of Hell or Skyway of Death. I can't remember which one, but it's like to tell him that it's unhealthy for him to smoke while he's
just laugh at you and just sit the fuck down.
It's like the death rate was incredible. So it's like, yeah, we don't care, but it's like it's like it's worrying about lung cancer when you're on the first wave at D-Day.
Yeah, so. Still, yeah, you're not worried about that at all. Cool. Those are two very compelling, as it's been stated in the chat. Geek and tells. Cool.
They compel you.
Take one off of the page of TJ talking about, cancer versus D-Day. That, guys, they ain't going to give a fuck about cancer or mesothelioma or any of that other shit when they're flying bombers through canyons of massive mountains and whatnot. Another one that would kind of fit that too, in my opinion, is you get a guy who's thirsty enough and he's had a dry spell for, I don't know, a while. You define a while, but a while. And some chick opens up her legs and he's not ready with a condom. You think he's going to turn that shit down? Do you really think he's going to say, no, I got to get a condom. Let's wait.
I'm trying not to make fun of Aaron, but you just put it right, put it right there. No, the other one is that really bothers me about the whole anti-smoking thing is that smoking is at worst, it's a bad personal habit that's bad for your health. Well, so is eating a cheeseburger, but that doesn't make you an evil person, right? So people are always obsessing over these, like back in the 60s or whatever. I remember there was a guy who told me when he first went to church, they confiscated the guys went up and saw his cigarette pack in his pocket and they go, "Why are you smoking Satan sticks?" What? And so this obsession with like personal hygiene over personal qualities or character or anything like that. So you can be a lying prick, but just don't smoke, right? That's kind of the whole impression that the message that they're getting is you can do anything you want. You can be a loser, but just don't smoke cigarettes. Like that's considered parental success. Well, yeah. I mean, look what's going on around us right now.
Seriously.
What's up, Atham?
I'd rather all these fucking millennial douchewad fucking college kids smoke cigarettes and go out and break and burn shit.
Tear down statues and shit. You see, that's it. That's why the fucking world's ended up the way it has, because of the smoking
ban. Yeah.
The smoking ban, the anti-smoking ban episode.
Right.
Seriously.
That's what it is. If they just had laid off on that shit, statues would still be standing. Kids would actually be somewhat normal. They wouldn't be fucking douchebags. Vaping, what's this? Like Vince said, douche fluting.
Douche flute. Fucking,
yeah.
It's too ridiculous for words.
All because of the smoking ban. I'm telling you.
Well, people just need to calm. They need to calm down. Is what they need.
Well, there's that. Well, they don't know how either.
Well,
they really don't.
Not to get too like psychological on this show, and rather than geeky, but I think it's because especially my generation, we're like one of the most anxious generations ever, and part of that is just part of it is the upbringing, but it's also I had a pretty. I'm not gonna say I was like had it all figured out, but I had a pretty good head on my shoulders when I went to high school and college, so I was able to figure out what was what and kind of see through the crap. But if you absorb the stuff that you're being told in middle school, high school, and college now, you develop a mental illness. You are going to be mentally ill because it turns you into a paranoid narcissist where the world's out to get you.
We don't have enough of those either.
No, so. We don't have enough. No.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's like we have job positions seeking paranoid narcissists, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's where the disconnect with a lot of if you talk to them and we're seeing this play out, they genuinely believe stuff that you have to be mentally ill to actually believe. You can't possibly talk about how you're oppressed in a country that you're terrified of being deported from.
Well,
like that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And we talked about this before. I know I make a joke about making mental asylums great again, but it's the shit that's going down now in the media and the shit that people spew and the ideologies. 40, 50 years ago, these people would be put away.
Oh, absolutely.
And just like, I know you're done. You're done. You're done. You're a danger to everyone else and yourself.
Well, it's also not only like physical danger. This is where people get a little the nuances involved. It's not just that someone could harm other people. It's that they can do incalculable damage just by without doing anything, coercive, right? I mean, think about if you're forced to deal with a relative who's mentally ill, but they haven't committed a crime, so they can't be arrested. I mean, we're being around them, or I'd say also with just for being forced to deal with people. I think that's completely transformed our society, because what happens is their mental illness in a peaceful society, because in a violent society you just kill them, right? If you have a mentally ill person in your tribe who's getting in the way of like feeding the tribe, you just kill them, right? You don't have to deal with that. In a peaceful society, you have to actually go through all the constraints.
Well, you got to go through the red tape in the administration that's set up, that the roadblocks in your way.
Right. And so what ends up happening is and the other thing is people who are normal are just going about their lives, whereas mentally ill people are on the offensive at all times. They're just constantly undermining stuff. So they end up getting into power.
Well, it's the people. It's what we call the people looking for shit to be bothered about, and they do. That kind of the narcissistic behavior that you're talking about lends itself well to power structures and areas of leadership.
Right. Now, in the past, I mean, even in recent history, what checked that was the ability or the willingness of the people to violently resist at a certain point. After you cross a certain line, they're like, like with the Revolutionary War. They imposed a very simple boundary on the British that the British crossed, and it was enforced successfully by the American colonies. But compare that to the kind of boundaries that get violated all the time now, and people rationalize it because they've accepted and internalized this belief that violence is never the answer.
Well, we've also legalized ourselves into a corner.
Yeah.
Because then you have these frivolous lawsuits
that
are just fucking insane. Like as you're talking about in the past, like if two guys got into an altercation, they'd beat the fuck out of each other, dust each other off, and then go have a beer, and then it would be over. It would be done.
Right.
But that build up, that tension has to go somewhere now. You can't do that.
Right.
You just totally cannot, unless it's officially sanctioned, or you go somewhere privately and pummel each other.
I mean, if we want to go down the rabbit hole just a little bit more, I think it doesn't start with a political philosophy. It doesn't start with a political theory. It doesn't even start with indoctrination from the left or whatever. It starts with the feminization of men. And so by the time that they're old enough to where they're supposed to enforce boundaries, they've already been disarmed from enforcing their own personal boundaries in their own personal lives.
Well, men today are not. They think they're not allowed, or they shouldn't enforce a boundary because everyone's love is love and tolerance and diversity and all this bullshit. Right. So that it's like, no, you have every right to enforce a personal boundary. You have every right to enforce your own preference. I don't like that fat bitch. I'm not going to date her. That's the way it goes. It's like, yeah, that's it.
Right, but I think what happens is most men at some point in their lives today have for many years, they undergo this process where they're trying to develop boundaries, and those boundaries are that those efforts are attacked, and they're in a situation where they're not in control of their environment and circumstances. So by the time a kid turns 18, unless he's unusually rebellious and just has to get the heck out of Dodge, most will not sever ties with a family that will impose boundaries.
Great minds think alike.
What's going on?
Rob and I both said mixed. It was a timestamp, but 9:23, both at the same time. Oh. We're done. We're calling it. We're done.
The show's over.
Show's over.
So I just think that's people are wondering, why isn't anybody doing anything about it? Why isn't it? Because everybody's looking at the government and like a handful of public officials that are considered legitimate to do the violence for them, because they've been taught they don't have the right to set those boundaries themselves.
Mm-hmm. This has been going on for the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
It's quite frankly, it's fucking annoying. Toilet or racial? Well, I think swirling has been a thing for a while. Whatever you like black chicks, go for it. And black chicks like white guys, go for it. I don't fucking care. But as far as the actual swirly, where you upend someone and stick your head in a toilet, we definitely need to bring that back. The Masculine Geek swirly. The MGS, the official MGS.
Well, I think the unspoken part of that is, if there's a kid who's getting bullied or picked on, part of it is you're supposed to fight back.
Well, that's it. When I was bullied in school, my father taught me the rudiments of boxing.
Right.
He's like, you defend yourself. You don't run it. You don't start fights, but if you make sure you finish it. That's the way it went. I used to get in fights with kids in the neighborhood all the time. Sometimes I instigated, and sometimes they did. But it's just that's what you did. Come on with a black eye, a busted lip, and there was something really like righteous about it. It's hard to explain, but there's something righteous about it, and you came away better for it.
Right.
Now it's just like everyone's wearing a fucking helmet. You have to. You can't. You don't even have your own desk. You're sitting in a group. You're part of this fucking ridiculous collective. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if the kid goes home, he's been beat up, and his dad's not around, but his mom is. Chances are, mommy's gonna say, "Oh, you poor little boy. I'm gonna go talk to the principal. We're gonna get this straightened out." Right?
Yeah, and then you're gonna get your ass kicked for that.
Right, but that's where it starts. It starts with somebody's mistreating you. You need to go to an authority figure to impose boundaries for you. Right? Mm-hmm. At no point, whereas the dad would teach the normal, real, actual father figure, not a complete, loser, would teach us, no, you, even at an early age, you have the right to impose boundaries on other people, and if that involves violence, so be it. There's that one episode of Animaniacs where there's the two squirrels. There's his aunt and then the little nephew. The little nephew's being bullied at school, and somebody's trying to, some school counselor's trying to help him out by saying, "Oh, why don't you try sharing your sandwich with your bully?" And of course, the bully then takes it and beat the other half and beats him. Finally, the aunt is like saying,
it's like just a reward for bullying at that point. You're reinforcing that shitty behavior.
It was a totally pro-violence cartoon episode.
Well, those are good. Always like those.
You know what? Chest brought up a good point when he said, you win some, you lose some. The respect remains because everyone recognizes you are capable of violence.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that is something I remember from back in junior high, especially. That's when I got in the majority of all the fights I got in. And it was, guys bullying me. And I would give as good as I got. And some fights I won, some fights I lost. Some were kind of a draw. But at the end of all the fights, the guy who I fought would leave me the fuck alone after that. He would even sometimes tell other guys, "Hey, leave him alone, man. He's all right." And everyone looked at me a little differently because it was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, you got your ass kicked, but you stood up to it and you
held your own."
Yeah, and even though he beat your ass, you got right back up and went right back at him again. And it's like, yeah.
Right.
And so that's the thing. I think that we're seeing a generation, going on 2 generations now, of guys who've never been punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's like, if you, clean a few clocks and get your clock cleaned a couple of times.
Here you go. Anyone who's in the chat, probably nobody in this chat, but maybe someone listening later. When we do the Village by the Lake, if you haven't been punched in the face, okay, we'll do it for free. You come out, we'll hang out. We'll fucking clock you, and then we'll go have a beer and a cigar. I think that'll work. And you'll just get that one from each of us. Rob will hit you more towards the nut area, actually, right in the stomach. You're shorter, so you're going to grab them in the chest, nuts, right in the swimsuit area. TJ and I will clock you right in the fucking head. blast you right in the face, and then we'll go we'll buy the drinks and the cigars too. So come on out to Village by the Lake. We'll punch you in the fucking face.
Yeah, there we go.
If you haven't been punched, and when you're ever, if you have, then you know.
Yeah, then you know exactly. You know what it's like. But if you haven't, if you're like, guys, I've seriously never been punched, I need to know what that's like. We'll honor that for real.
Exactly.
Yep. Then you go out for beers.
Exactly.
Yep. Roman nailed it, because that's exactly the shit The Salt Lake Beatdown.
the Salt Lake Village by the Lake Beatdown.
Yeah, that's right. The Salt
It's
Lake
not really
Beatdown.
a beatdown. It's just
just a punch from each of us.
It's a reality check. We're gonna give you a
That's it.
reality check. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not gonna gang, you're not getting ganged up on and getting jumped into the gang. It's like, no.
No,
You're
well,
just
you
getting
can
punched.
Yeah, and you could tense up. You could set yourself ready. Like, all right, we'll do the head or gut. Head or gut. There you go. It's just a head or gut question.
I think that also.
See, me and my friends used to do that shit all the time to each other, like back in junior high and shit. Never mind the bullies. We'd do that shit to each other constantly. Half the time, half the fun was you didn't know when it was coming. You just get fucking nailed.
Did you guys?
You son of a bitch. Yeah, the
you get tripped, you get tackled out of nowhere in the hall in the high school. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you get tackled, or just, I can remember hanging out in my parents' backyard and we're shooting the shit, and all of a sudden I'm getting fucking clocked. And It's like, what the fuck? And then it's on.
It's funny as hell.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it knocks the wind out of you if you're not prepared for it, and you get one right in the solar plexus. It's like, oh.
Yep.
Did you guys ever see The Alamo with John Wayne?
It's been a while, but yeah.
So they're in the cantina at the beginning of the film, and John Wayne, who plays Davy Crockett, is trying to talk to Colonel Travis, and suddenly all of his Tennessee bros, show up and say, this huge guy is like, I want a chance for my money back, and they go, and what they do is they do this game where you have a feather that you put on the tip of your nose, and you try and blow off the other guy's feather. Well, whoever blows the other guy's feather off first gets to
blow his feather. Is that what they're calling it?
No. But the whole point was like it was a game of who could stand up to being punched in the face, right? Like that was the kind of games that I'm assuming that they played back then of some kind. Probably not like that, because you knock out.
Oh yeah, we used to, like, around this whole Star Wars craze, like in the 80s, we used to cut off these broomsticks in half and then wrap them in different colored tape. So there would be like the handle would be black, and then the blade of the lightsaber would be different color, and we would just beat on each other. Yeah. And you get your knuckles banged. You're over it. You're fencing with it. You'd miss. You get hit upside the fucking head with it. You didn't care. You didn't run home. You didn't cry. You didn't curl into a ball and weep like a small child. You didn't go to your safe space. You just got back up and you did it again.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's right. You come for the camaraderie and you stay for the fucking black eye. A black eye, a beer, and a cigar.
That's it. The black eyes and the beers.
Or a gut punch.
Hey, do you got an Airbnb? I got your Airbnb right here. Wham! As it comes in. Just came right out of thin air.
And then when you're done, you'll have Aaron. Aaron can blow your feather.
That's right. Yep. He'll blow on your feather.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, do you know if he's coming out or not? I haven't heard if he is or not.
I don't even know if he's like cognizantly aware of it.
Oh, well, we'll just not mention it to him and see what he says.
Yeah, well, like, you guys didn't say me. He'll be complaining, I'm sure.
We've only fucking advertised it on every YouTube video we've ever done ever, and we've only advertised it a billion times on the internet.
He'll hear this episode because he listens to our broadcast when he's out hiking and whatnot. Because he'll call me up and he'll call me up like, oh, you guys said blah blah. Yeah, so no, but he's obviously more than welcome.
Oh,
but that'll be that Saturday that we're out, and we're gonna pretty much make it an all day, like afternoon into evening affair. So it's gonna be a long day. So you guys come out, you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, be a good time. Yeah. And no, we don't have to hit you, except for Nick. Nick Shoelander comes out, I'm hitting Nick.
Nick's getting punched in the face.
Dude, so he's getting punched in the face more than once, because I can tell he hasn't been punched enough.
He has not. No.
Now, Bacon, on the other hand, Bacon's scrapping, and it's like, nah, I ain't fucking around with Bacon.
Yeah, Bacon and I can spar. That'll be fun.
There you go.
That'll be good. Yeah, chess 3. Is it 3 months? Let's see. It's June, July, or it is.
It is 3 months.
Yeah, it's like 3 months. Yeah, because it's
it literally
July,
is,
August, and September. Yeah, it's the end of September. TJ and Rob and I will be hanging out the the 24th through the 27th.
Well, that would be today.
Or the 28th.
So Chest was right. He's dead on the money. It's 3 months exactly.
Very, very good, Chess. You get the cookie.
Jesus.
And
He's
then
gonna give Atham a run for his money. Atham, you're slacking, dude.
Seriously. But then that 26th, that Saturday the 26th will be the Village by the Lake official meetup.
Right.
So Rob and TJ and I will be planning that day soon.
It's going to be interesting to try and see what we can do as far as, public get-together gatherings like at a restaurant or something, because right now we're still in a yellow phase is what we're calling it, where it's, places are open, but it's like half capacity. You got to social distance, all that whole shit.
We'll have to make reservations then.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to have to kind of keep an eye,
try to get outside.
Well, and that would probably be easier to do than an inside thing, just for the fact that right now we've had a huge spike in the bug, a bunch of cases, a whole fuck ton, and like all of the governor and everybody, the state health director or whatever the fuck their title is, they all got their panties in a twist right now. And there's been rumor that I've heard that if this keeps up, we're going to have to go into total lockdown again. So we'll see what the fuck happens.
I'm not leaving Utah until I get a fatter lip from
You guys hear about my state?
I'm sure I'll get a fat lip too.
It's happening in my place, Bull Rush. We're doing it in Salt Lake.
So starting this Friday, all Washingtonians will be required to wear masks everywhere they go.
That's what Salt Lake's talking about doing.
And to which I would say that's a nice statute.
Suck a fat one.
It kind of reminds me of what Andrew Jackson said when he didn't like a Supreme Court ruling. He just said the Supreme Court's made a decision, let them enforce it. So to which I would say
they can enforce my nuts. I'm not wearing a fucking.
I went to the grocery store today and just bought a whole bunch of groceries, but I've also got food that I'm growing in my garden. Like I don't need to go out for really anything for a while. So but on top of that, okay. So there's another thing you can say. All you gotta do is say I have a medical condition. I can't wear a mask. They cannot ask you apparently what the condition is. They can't because it's a privacy.
Well, it's a HIPAA issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you go to a store and they say, why don't you have a mask? All you have to do is say, I'm not medically capable of wearing a mask. They cannot ask you. They cannot ask you.
Remember that. I am not medically able to wear a mask.
Yeah. And so
you just say, I can't. I have problem. All you have to do is say, I have a problem. I can't breathe. And you'll be fine. You will be fine.
Can't breathe.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm just like I'm not following this rule. First of all, I live in Central Washington. I know I live near a little Seattle, but it's like this is just going to get worse. I'm just there's so many things going on in my head about this sort of thing. It's like Seattle's in chaos and anarchy, but you need to wear a mask in the mountains. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Right. Yeah. You have to wear a mask while you're hiking, but the joggers can go out and jog mask free. It's okay.
Well, that's how you know.
Okay if you're a jogger.
Well, that's how you know the whole mask thing is complete bullshit.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and the thing
We've
is,
been saying that from the fucking beginning.
Well,
pandemic, my ass.
Well, not only that, but I mean, this was not a legislative decision. This was an ex cathedra pronouncement from the governor, and
what? Ex cathedra?
It's a Latin term. He
Which
basically just
what? Say, dumb it down for me here. What does that mean?
It's a Catholic term when the Pope claims to be speaking like on behalf of God.
Oh,
so he's infallible. Like
so the governor's invoking God is what he's doing. Basically,
he's basically just saying, "I'm the governor, so this shall be so."
Like, no, the governor has no. You can't just create laws out of thin air. It doesn't work.
Oh yeah, watch Washington do it. If any state will pull it off, it'll be Washington.
So Thurston County tried to do that, and they got sued. And from what I've read today, they dropped they gave up on it because they got sued, because it's not enforceable. You can't enforce, and even in counties where they have been enforcing it, they are not even enforcing it. They call it an education session or whatever the hell they want to call it, but it's just not. They're hoping that most people will be sheep and do as they're told. That's what they're hoping. And I'm kind of also at the point where people are saying, well, it's endangering the health of others. Well, if that's the case, then I get to round up all the communists and get rid of them. Because
we get to go riot then, because then we can just take what we want, burn everything, and not wear a mask while we do it.
Well, they say it's endangering public health. Well, communism and anarchy and rioting and looting and mobs and all this, there's plenty of things that are endangered to public, exactly, right, and public health. So if we're going to have that discussion, great. I get to impose restrictions on people that I think are endangered of my health. And I'm also just at the point where I don't feel any connection to the state at all in a collective identity sense. So I would just say, you might put somebody at health risk. It's like, yeah, not my I'm sorry, that's not my problem. They should stay home. That's
it. If you're fucking sick, stay the fuck home.
Yeah, stay home. And if it is likely you could get very sick and die, stay home. That's not my problem. But what they're saying now is businesses cannot serve you if you are not wearing a mask. That's what they're saying. Like, most people probably don't know this. Jim Crow segregation was not businesses doing that. It was at a state and local level. So even if you were a business that wanted to serve Black people in certain southern cities, you were prohibited by state or city statute from doing so. So this is the same concept. They're going to decide. This is what really rankles me, is that he's saying you cannot serve people who don't do what I tell them to do. Right. That's where I'm thinking, okay, I usually don't use law loopholes to get around stuff, but I'm definitely going to just say I have a medical condition, and for all they know, I do. They can't legally challenge that. And then the other one is, if they're not going to serve me, then I'm not going to cave in. I'm just not going to go to their business.
Well, that's it. The whole thing is just insanely ridiculous. I mentioned it before. It's just like this internal stress test on how much the government thinks people are going to put up with, and a lot of people are just are fucking sheep.
Well, from my personal experience, I've seen this whole thing play out at a micro level, kind of I've witnessed this kind of stuff. It's kind of scary how far it will degrade. Where, I'm trying to think of where it could go from here, but I think part of it is where they just tell people, just arbitrarily, you can't leave your house. I mean, I don't know. I think at some point psychologically they're going to, pardon the expression, but they're going to trigger people, and then they're going to reach for their trigger finger, if that makes sense. They're going to just say, no, something's going to snap in people's psychology, and once that happens, like I've said before, once that happens, there's no, we're going to dial it down. It's no, these people are going to march on their state capitals and just, they're not going to let it burn like Rob. They're going to actually burn it, right? They're going to be the ones tearing this stuff down. I mean, the same people who watched and kind of giggled and laughed while these anarchists and rioters pillaged Capitol Hill in Seattle, those same people are going to be the ones having that stuff happen at their homes, right? Notice, for example, there's been no targeting of government officials in any of these cities or states where this stuff is going on, for the most part, because they're not the enemy. They're permissive. They're allowing this kind of stuff to go on, but they may piss off the other crowd, who then decides to get their torches and pitchforks. But we'll see. I think that it just seems really weird. Like, what exactly are they trying to accomplish other than test how much crap people will put up with before they revolt?
Well, there's that.
They're dealing with people's mental health as well. You lock people inside for a month, you let them watch other people burn stuff down, and then turn around and say, oh, but you need to wear, make your bed, wash your bananas, and make sure you wear a mask everywhere you go. And you don't get served if you don't wear the mask. It's something's gonna click, but or not.
It's all bullshit. The entire thing is
all bullshit.
And it's all, and conveniently enough, it's all swirling, Bullrush, swirling around the election.
Uh-huh.
How is this going to? That's also what I'm like trying to wrap my head around. How is this going to make people pissed off at the president? I don't get it.
See, a lot of stuff that's happening puts the president and the federal government in a tough position, because if like, especially with Mogadishu over there near you, if you've got these pudwhack retards doing all this shit, and then if you do show force, see, look, he's a fascist, he's a okay, then if you don't do something, see, look, he's not doing anything. So you have to. The federal government right now is doing, for the most part, it's rounding up assholes on the sly, like I said, with the SWAT teams, federal SWAT teams, and then it's letting all this shit play out, because it's only going to come to one inevitable conclusion. It's going to fall apart and be a huge clusterfuck that we all know that it is.
Right.
So
I agree. I think that the way it's been playing out,
just leave it alone.
Well, it also reminds me of what was it called? Desert Rats. It was that movie with Richard Burton and James Mason.
Yeah.
So what he did during the battle at the very end is he allows the German tanks to go beyond their initial defensive positions.
Mm-hmm. It's just the garbage. It's basically the garbage taking itself out.
Well, what it does is it puts them in a very interesting position, kind of like when I was watching Letters from Iwo Jima, and the Japanese are realizing that we're not going to be able to hold the beach. It's not going to happen. They're going to take the beach easily. So what we're going to do is draw them in, and by allowing them to land on the beach and then light them up once they're there. And we're going to put most of our defenses into the actual island itself. So that they were able to hold the island for much, much longer than they probably would have if they met them on the beach. So it's a similar tactic where he's drawing them in by allowing them to show people what they're truly about, and then you retaliate afterwards in a way. Yeah,
you let them show their hand. What the fuck?
What?
Nobody cares.
What?
Well, the greatest thing that I think you're going to see this whole thing do, you get all the bullshit that's going on with the joggers and the statues and wear a mask, don't wear a mask, COVID, no COVID, Trump bad, Trump not bad, all the bullshit, all of it, including now BLM, and everybody's a racist. It's like, you know what? You're going to end up creating racism where there was no racism.
It's fanning the flames of something that's wasn't there to begin with. It's like, all right, well, if you're calling me racist, you have all this shit stacked against me. Well, I might as well.
Might as well be.
Might as well.
Yeah, well, might as well.
Especially, I don't think.
Yes, Red Crusader, stop sending me dick pics.
I don't think what will be interesting.
Incoming.
Right. Yeah, Jesus Christ! Wait, I need the magnifiers. Hang on.
What's going to be interesting is how that plays out with the Gen Xers and younger millennials, because they will have really grown up not knowing.
Don't you mean the older millennials?
No, because older, like, I'm an outlier for my generation. They're all mostly communists.
Okay.
But younger millennials. So
we're talking the borderline Zoomers then as well.
Yeah, borderline Zoomers. They have really never seen. I mean, they grew up for the most part after the Great Recession. They really don't know anything about what America used to be about. I got the coattails of it, in the early '90s, and especially where I was growing up. So for them, all they've ever known is hate, right?
Right.
So I think that's not a huge problem when it's not really affecting you and when it's on the fringe like it was in the early '90s. I mean, I remember celebrating Columbus Day. We drew pictures and we learned about the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, and all the other stuff. when you get to the point where they will unintentionally radicalize, I think, possibly a lot of these young kids, because they won't have the economic opportunity of their older peers, especially the boomers. They won't have known any kind of like homogenous, stable society and culture, and there's like you were saying, there's no incentive for them to be to adhere to any of the values that they're being taught, because what's the reward? It's a religion. It's a religion. It's interesting that it's a religion. Woke ideology is a religion with no forgiveness and no redemption and no salvation. So it is a self-consuming ideology that really is, its strength is more of its enemy's weakness, which is they won't fight. I mean, if people in America who are opposed to this decide to be just as violent, this stuff would be over tomorrow. Truckers would just say, we're not delivering to any cities. We're going to starve you guys out. Anybody, the farmers would say, they would go all Russian, old Russian during the Napoleonic invasion, say, you come take our food from our farms, we'll just burn the crops down. Like, we'll show you how much you actually need the people that you've been bad-mouthing for your entire life.
Yep.
Rob's rubbing his pussy.
I got another geek and tell. So this is the original Call of Duty.
Oh, geez.
Oh, shit.
From
cool.
2003. So
nice. 17 years old.
And I got another geek and tell. This is the Close Combat game.
I didn't even know what is that?
It's a video game. It's a real time like strategy. Like you move troops around.
Oh, like Shogun and the others, yeah. In the Crusader or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. It's a little different. It's like the graphics are great, but the tactics are very much based on like the terrain, where you're positioned, whether you're concealed or not, and are your troops experienced? Because if they aren't, they may be more than the veterans, but the veterans will be better fighters. And then are you flanking them? Are you all this other stuff?
Gotcha.
I'll have to play that on my old. Which ones do I have? I got the original.
I still have my old Icewind Dale CDs. That was like 2000. No, when was that? 2001. Let's see. When the fuck did that shit come out? Yeah. 2000. Black Isle Studios. That the soundtrack for that is really very, very good.
Yeah, they remade or remastered Command and Conquer.
Have a good night, Chest.
Good night, Chest.
Good flight.
Where's he going?
I don't know. He just said he has an early flight in the morning.
Oh, okay. Safe flight. Enjoy. Catch you next time.
Hey, follow me back on Parler while you're at it, you bastard.
I signed up for that this morning. Actually, I haven't.
So did I this afternoon.
I haven't done much with it though. I just let it sit there.
I put my pictures on it that way. People know it's me. Started shit posting even there.
I kind of don't care.
Well, it's a good backup in case we all get purged.
True. Well, that's why we're doing the other thing that we're doing.
Yep.
The subscription site and everything, the forums and whatnot. So we'll be announcing that shortly. Hey, Safety Doc. What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? Hey, I actually get to say that. I always wanted to say that as a kid. What's up, Doc?
Yes, Fred. Apparently, you need help. Parler.
Yeah, we're allowed to fly here in the U.S.
Can't fly in the UK?
Can't really go anywhere in Europe right now from the United States.
It's because they don't have guns.
Yeah, that's true. All huge, big pussies. Yeah, a nightstick and a baton only goes so far.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to threaten Parliament too much with that.
I got something to show you guys.
Was what, Bull Rush? Being on Parlor? That was after I sent you the pic, giving you the bird. Yeah, Reddit. It's kind of like Gab or like some alternative to Twitter.
That's fun. Is that really? Did he really say that?
Of course, he didn't say that.
That's a real. That's like a jackass. Like somebody made that, but
yeah,
like,
somebody made it.
I'm looking at that. Is fucking funny though. Jesus, bars and gyms reopen ASAP. The great, fantastic men of the country need to have their pecs popping so the panties can be dropped. That's awesome.
Oh man,
love it.
That's awesome.
Ah, Jesus Christ. He should say that though.
What was one of those jokes? Like somebody goes, "Did he actually say that?" And somebody says, "If he actually did, he'd probably win."
And it's more, yeah.
They're trying to say, "Oh, I can't believe he would say."
Well, he said grab him by the pussies, and he won off of that platform. So,
it just blew my mind when people were every time with this guy. Could you believe he said this? Like, yeah, oh, shocker! A guy with wealth and power, a high status guy, has women throwing themselves at him. Yeah, never happened before in the history of the planet, ever.
No. Nope. Fucking stupid. All right, Rob, you are up in like 30 seconds, so you might as well go now.
No, I'm gonna wait that 30 seconds.
You dirty villain.
Guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, get the tingles to YouTube's VJJ, all that good stuff. You know what to do. None of you guys are new here. You're not new to this rodeo.
Now don't forget to tell them about the newsletter.
Well, yeah, we have a newsletter too. Sign up for that shit and get fresh content in your email box and all that stuff, and we don't spam.
No.
Even though you know what, having some cooked spam though. Have you ever fried spam? It's pretty good.
It's very tasty. Yeah, but have it on like have it on a roll or some bread or some shit like pumpernickel bread.
Yeah,
it's so good. Yeah.
Little hint of mustard with it. Oh man, that's good shit right there.
I'll do the sriracha sauce.
Oh, that's good shit for it.
That's good. Yeah.
Make your asshole burn, but it's good stuff.
On the way out, it's going to burn. And then just cut it up and throw it in some scrambled eggs.
Yep.
Put that on a sandwich. Oof, so good.
Yes.
A Safety Doc likes our newsletter. He can vouch for us.
Once in a while, he can vouch for us.
Yeah. And with that one, I think he can.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So somebody made a good point that I just saw. They won't enforce the mask rule because what happens when it disproportionately affects people who don't look like me?
There you
right?
go.
Like you see my point. Like what happens when when they start like the King County, which is like the communist county of all communist counties. They said that they're taking an educational approach to people wearing masks and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you do, because if you actually tried enforcing it, you would end up having encounters with peoples of other colors than me who may not want to wear the mask, right? And so what are you going to do about them?
I saw somebody with a mask posted online. It said, "Thanks, commies," on the front of the mask.
I just think it's funny how like political correctness can get in the way of tyranny.
There you go.
Right. Where like they're like, oh, we want to enforce this rule, and it's like, wait a minute, this disproportionately affects these peoples who don't look like me. Oh, well then we're not going to enforce it. Okay.
Exactly. That's right, Safety Doc. Our newsletter is the best.
I don't know if Chris Von Erich saw it or not. I teased him. I'm waiting for a response. Nah, I don't know if he saw it or not.
So what?
Apparently you didn't see it either. The change of my background.
Oh, his red
logo.
lens. Yeah, I saw you do that real fast. Yeah.
There we go. See, there you go, Chris. That's what it looks like, buddy.
Yeah.
What am I drinking tonight? I am drinking Pepsi Zero. That's what I'm drinking tonight.
I have a gin and tonic, which is empty, and I will refill this in just a moment.
Shit, we definitely got drinking some good shit.
Mm-hmm. What do you got there, TJ?
It's a ginger beer.
Oh, ginger beer. Okay. Alcoholic or non?
It's non-alcoholic. Ironically enough, after showing the cigarettes, I'm now like I'm not smoking that. I'll do pipe tobacco, but I'm trying to cut back and be healthier.
Rah. Thank you, Nick.
We try, Nick, occasionally.
We
do it. It comes naturally, actually. This is really easy for us.
We just have to be ourselves, you know?
That's right. That's what makes it work. Oh, fuck.
3 intolerable, insufferable assholes who get together and somehow are tolerable and sufferable. Imagine that.
Yeah, it works. It really works well.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, exactly. Who'd have thunk it?
So to talk about a little geek thing, kind of just throw this out there because I'm doing this right now. I'm reading through a bunch of books that I've never read before, that I've just been sitting on my bookshelf. I don't know if I'm the only guy who does this, but I have books that I've had for years, never got around to reading them. And now I'm finally like, you know what? I don't want to have a regret. I don't want to be on my deathbed and like in the last moment before I pass on, be like, I should have read that book. You know?
Yeah. No, you're not alone.
And so I picked up a couple books. One was The Third World War, which was written by a NATO commander.
Well, you mentioned that. You mentioned that in the newsletter, and if you had signed up for the fucking newsletter, you would know this, but you haven't. So.
And one of the things that was interesting about the book is what they got right and what they got wrong. So, for those of you who've read the newsletter, I'll go over this very succinctly. They accurately predicted what the Persian Gulf War would have looked like without the nukes. So that's what they were kind of expecting. What was funny is they assumed that the Soviet Union would collapse. What they thought would follow it was a war. Like the Soviet Union would start a war to prevent its own collapse, and then it would collapse. So that's different from the Soviet analyst whose book I read, The War in 2020, in which he kind of saw the Soviet Union being around for a couple more decades, and it just didn't turn out to be the case. But both books looked at South Africa being an important role in the geopolitical politics at the time. I think the biggest thing where I was just rolling my eyes is when they assumed that the Soviets would only launch one nuclear bomb against Birmingham, England, and then the Allies would after that only launch one nuke. I'm sorry, like with the warning time that you either launch them all or you're done. Like you have 5 minutes to decide how many nukes you're going to launch, how many people are going to die. You're not going to like sit there and have some sort of like war room discussion on which city should we bomb, and then it just de-escalates from there. If you're launching a nuke is like going all in. So I never understood why they thought that was going to happen. But what it kind of shows me is that that was probably more accurate in prediction of how things were going to turn out in the war in 2020. But it's just, I find it fascinating how to compare what actually happened in history to what people thought. Like you have the top Soviet analyst writing a fictional novel. It wasn't meant to be literal. You had this NATO commander doing a game theory book, The Third World War, and neither one of them really got it right on a fundamental, not for nothing, on a fundamental level. They didn't get it right. They got a lot of things right in an interesting way, but a lot of stuff that they didn't. Was it funny for the Third World War was their prediction for the 1984 election, right? And then in the war in 2020, he predicts what the 2016 election was going to look like, which was completely not at all what the actual 2016 election. Like the idea that predicting Donald Trump in like, I think it was 1990 when that book was written, the idea of predicting Donald Trump was going to run for president in 2016 probably never occurred to this guy. Even though Trump was apparently talking about that as far back as 1980 something. So he's been talking about these issues for a while. It's sorry, really quiet. I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, well, yeah. So, Safety Doc, I would say that if I was going to launch an invasion of the United States, this would be a pretty good time to do it. If there was ever a time to now at the same time, why would launch the military when you can just create a humanitarian crisis at the border? Right? I was just saying, Vince, how if I was going to like try to undermine the United States government militarily, this would be the time to do it. But I think people have realized, like Russia and China has realized, we don't have to actually get into a war with America. We just have to destabilize it enough to where they're not in a position that the idea may be that they're just trying to create enough instability that we have to pull troops from overseas. And that's
possible. I mean, that is the goal of communism, and whatnot, is to destabilize from the country from the inside. Because I mean, you can only get away so much with overt aggression. You're going to be met with resistance. But if you can change public policy and change the culture from the inside, the very act of doing that, you can't. It's unless you're vigilant against it and constantly aware. Talk about communist creep. It just you wake up one day and you're like, what the fuck just happened? We're seeing this now. Yeah. It's playing out in real time.
You know, Red Dawn, in the film Red Dawn, there's that statue of Theodore Roosevelt that the film starts out like the camera pans onto his famous quote about men who know neither victory nor defeat. And the movie involves the Soviets invading, people who don't speak their language, people who have completely different views on stuff in their history. They're here to they're imposing curfews, they're prohibiting freedom of speech, they're locking people up. And now you watch that film and you're just thinking, what really is the difference between that and what's happened over the last 20 years? It's all a matter of how quickly did you do something, because it's the difference between building a house over 20 years or building it in 3 days. You feel the effects in 3 days very quickly. Over time, you become accustomed to it. And so if we were to compare what American society felt like, say, back in the 70s compared to now, I'm not saying like they had stagnation, they had inflation, they had terrible fashion, they had crappy stuff all around. But at the same time, I think that the 70s, I'm not being nostalgic, I'm just saying comparing politically in terms of the rights that we had, probably a lot worse. I know they deregulated the brewing industry around that time with, I think it was Jimmy Carter or something like that. But yeah, like, yes, we have better beer than we had back then. That's more of a technological issue more than a political issue.
Pretty much.
And so they don't have to do anything anymore. They just have to like push everything over the edge. Now, whether they'll succeed, I don't know. Like I've been reading about the Roman Empire. Roman Empire went through a lot of stuff before it finally kicked the bucket. So this, comparatively speaking, it will, it's going to go down when, or it's hitting the fan when this stuff goes into suburbia, and it really seems to not have done that yet. They're containing themselves and they're not killing people. When they start killing people, that's when, in mass numbers, that's when things are really gonna get ugly.
And here we have another satisfied viewer. This is indeed the best show.
I kind of feel like Barnum now. It's like, the greatest show on earth. We're the best show on the internet. I like that.
At least one that broadcasts on Wednesdays.
Well, yeah.
So
Best show on the internet on Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays, yeah. I mean, we have to be fair. There's a few other good shows out there. Not as good as this, but they're close. What do you want, Mowgli?
I don't know, Vince. I think you're not giving us enough credit.
No, I do. I'm trying to be humble. Is it showing?
No.
Never mind. Fuck you. This is the best show on the internet.
Best show on earth.
That's right. That's right. It's going to get better, guys. It's going to get better. Trust me. Before July 1st, we have something dropping.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck? Get your head out of there.
We are the best show at this time slot on this day at this moment until something else comes along.
But it won't come. It won't come along. So we are the best. So.
It's like what I have two brothers, and I'm the middle.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and I tell him, like I tell my older brother, "You're my favorite older brother."
You know,
I want to throw something else out there that I'm really surprised nobody's done this. With all the NASCAR, the NFL, all these, everybody doing the whole go woke, get broke kind of approach on stuff.
Oh yeah.
So here's my question: why? If you live in Middle America in the Midwest or somewhere, this is like a can't lose business model. Open up a sports bar, or if you have a sports bar. Okay, if you already have a sports bar, there is no reason to not do this. Get rid of your cable and only show reruns of like the great sports games, whether it's basketball, baseball, like the 1980s soccer or hockey game versus the Soviets versus the Americans, right? That crazy Miracle on Ice, or the Utah Jazz playing the Bulls back in the mid 90s for the NBA.
Hell, let's go even something that's closer to our hearts. I mean, the sports stuff is cool, and that the old time stuff, yeah, absolutely. But just show black and white noir films.
Yeah,
just have them running.
Yeah,
I mean, it's niche, but I think it's so much so that most young people don't even know about them.
Right. My thought was if you're doing a sports bar that way, because a lot of people weren't alive back to watch. I mean, I was watching the movie Miracle, which was about the hockey game, and I thought, if you were 20 years old when that movie came out, you're now 60. So yeah. There's an entire generation that either was too young to remember it or just never saw it in their life. So, wouldn't that be kind of a novelty to be able to watch it in a setting in which you watch things that are happening in real time, so they can kind of experience that, or to the extent that they'd be able to experience something from a sports game. And then you have like a boxing match or something that's like, and also in advance that it's going to be a good game or competition. Like, it's going to be interesting because they're selecting it for a reason. It's not just some random game. It's, this is one of the most interesting sports events, and we're showing it for that reason. So you're not going to be bored watching it. So I think that would be a good way to, and that way you're not having to watch the NFL now. This is why nostalgia is going to be the future, because if you like watching NFL, if you like watching the NBA, if you like watching NASCAR, you don't have to watch the new stuff. You just watch old stuff that you weren't around to watch.
There's that too.
Oh, I totally think a speakeasy restaurant could be done.
Well, they're already being done.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them over here in Philadelphia that it's not a speakeasy. I mean, in the literal sense, but it has that low ceilings, erotic photos on the wall, low lighting, not a lot of seats, very cushioned, very plush, and they only allow so many people in at a time. And there's not a huge sign announcing it's actually very, it doesn't even look like what it's supposed to be. So it's just a door going down into a basement. It's pretty cool.
We may have to have speakeasies again if these regulations don't quit. It's only going to be.
Yeah, seriously.
you got to wear a mask and you got to be this feet away. And it's just, I'm thinking, okay, what are they going to take this from and adapt it to another dynamic of, oh, you need to socially distance for this instead. I mean, they went from saying coronavirus is a public health safety issue to racism is a public health issue. Like, okay, so they're pivoting from a medical condition to a non-existent social problem. What else are they going to do that from? Where are they going to pivot in the same way and say, you have to wear this mask or you have to wear what we tell you to wear? Here's these pajama looking clothes and you need to go eat on that cattle car up there. Like what?
Yeah, right. Seriously. I mean, we're joking about it, but I mean, it's people think it can't happen again. It's like, no, asshole, it can. Absolutely can.
No. If it does, I got my fallback positions. I got my Alamos.
Mm-hmm. What's it? It's that Saul Alinsky playbook. It's the well, if you don't this, then you're that. It's like I talked about TJ and Rob about this. Like you're out at a store, and then there's a person who's out front at a little table, and they've got their thing set up, and they're soliciting for donations, like say for the blind or for whatever charity. And if you don't donate, sir, would you like to give blah blah blah? No, thank you. Oh, then you must hate blind people. What? Or whatever charity they're doing. You must hate fill in the blank. No, asshole. I don't. Maybe I do, but it doesn't matter. I'm not giving you money. But that's the mentality. It's like, well, if you're not for this, you're against it. Well, no. If I'm not for something, just doesn't mean I'm against it. It means I'm not invested in that. I don't care about that. You do. You go do that. I don't care about that. Well, yeah, thanks, already doing it. Or just sometimes I just ignore them or smile. If it's a good-looking girl, you wink. But yeah, it's like they're trying to play on your guilt. They're trying to play on your emotions. Most people don't have. We're talking about boundaries. Most people that don't have set boundaries for themselves are going to go, oh yeah, what's $1? It's for a good cause, and then they convince themselves to go ahead.
And then they say, oh, what's a 2-hour nap? And then they're doing
what's a 2-hour nap in a FAP session? What is it? 4-hour naps, What's 10 minutes calling the girlfriend every 10 minutes? Who cares? And then you become Aaron Clary. So
yeah, you start losing your mind, and you're like, "How do I run? Am I on? I'm still on. Can you hear me?
What's the itinerary?
What's the itinerary? Can you guys hear me? Am I on?
TJ, are we friends on Facebook? Asks on Messenger.
That's too funny.
Do we follow each other?
I gotta get. You know what? I gotta get him a plaque. This is TJ. Are we friends on Facebook?
Just send him a plaque that says we're friends on Facebook.
Oh shit! There you go.
Woo! Right.
So, Safety Doc has something for you he wants you to maybe elaborate on about the not being able to disengage from an argument.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a great, I call them real life Voight comp tests. They're a way for you to tell whether the person you're dealing with is for real or not in terms of what they say. Like you spot the disconnects in what they say and the sentiment they're expressing. And so the easiest one for me is if someone's giving you kind of acting like you're the problem and saying you're doing this wrong and you're doing everything wrong, or they're explaining how you're giving them grief or you're bringing them pain. Your existence is making their life unpleasant. All you got to do to, and this may be harder in some instances than others, the easiest way to get to the heart of the matter is to just say we should separate, not like you live with them, but like if it's a buddy of yours who's giving you crap, to say, maybe we shouldn't hang out anymore. And if they flip their lid, or it's a girl, this is the easiest one for a lot of guys, the girl is giving you crap or saying how you're mean to her and you don't treat her well, and then you just casually suggest that maybe you should go see other people. And then she just loses her mind you know you're not the problem. She is the problem, right? She's using, because what you're doing is you're removing a scapegoat from their life that they can no longer blame for what's wrong in their life, whatever it is, right? And so for you, one of the ways that they control people when it's so painfully obvious that that person's not the problem is they gaslight them. They try to convince them that you did all this horrible stuff. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about when people are claiming how this is an oppressive country and it's race. It says people who came here from other countries, and then they're absolutely in total fear and dread that they might get sent back to their home countries. And then they have the audacity to talk about how we're oppressing them. Well, if you were born here, okay, maybe. If your ancestors were brought here against your will, okay, you have a different thing. If your ancestors were here first, okay, that's different. But if you came here from another country, you don't get to complain about how we're treating you, because the door is always open for you to leave here. And so that's why people react so viscerally when you say, like, the term "go back to where you came from." If where you came from is a great place, that's not an insult. If somebody's told me to go back to where I came from, I would say, okay, I get to go back to an area where the house value is $1 million for every house. Or if they're saying return back to my homeland, great. I don't mind going back to England in terms of geography and culture.
I'll go back to Sicily, sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, but if I'm also not complaining about the country I live in. So now at a personal level, if you got a supervisor who's giving you crap and they're just blaming you for stuff, a good way to do that is probably, I'm not giving advice on this, but I'm saying, like, hinting that you might no longer be employed with them. That can cause that, because chances are they're having you do all the work and trying to keep you distracted from the fact that they don't do anything. And once that's revealed by you leaving, then they have no one to blame for why they're not accomplishing or doing what they're supposed to be doing, or then they're going to actually do the work. So this principle applies anywhere. Whenever somebody says, I'm oppressed or somebody's mistreating me, but I need to be near them, don't leave me, you know that they're full of it. It's absolute crap.
Yeah.
America.
America. That's right. God damn it.
Damn communists.
That's some communist shit right there. We have to do round 2 soon.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. It's different if you were like in Russia back during the time of the Tsar. Like, you had legitimate complaints saying, well, why don't you leave? Well, because one, I was born, like, a little bit different situation. And that's why what's going on in America right now is not comparable at all to what was going on in Russia in 1917, because that was a country that needed some major improvements. They just got out of the Dark Age, and their armies have been completely wiped out in the First World War. Like, there was some major reforms that needed to be had, and I'm not saying America needs them. The people complaining now are the people who are not, like, if they think things are bad for them now, wait until, the food stops coming in, or until you actually have to provide for yourself, right? It's like when they opened up the Chaz in Seattle, and then people were like, why aren't the cops here? Someone down 911.
Right. Didn't they shut down water and electricity to that section?
All the mayor had to say was, we're bringing the police back in, and everybody went home. It was like mommy and daddy came, codependent mommy and daddy.
Like, all right, said, everybody out of the pool, get out.
Go upstairs, get in bed. You're 45 years old. That's okay. You don't have a job. That's okay. You're an alcoholic and a drug addict. That's okay. Now we need to go yell at our subordinates at our work for not, putting cover sheets on their TPS reports.
Yeah, right. You're gonna burn down the building. Put your red stapler on the way out. Jesus. That's not right. People are very emotionally weak.
I think a lot of people struggle with the idea that I'm not saying most people, but some people will struggle with the idea that someone will say something that is so contradictory of reality. It would be like Aaron coming to us and saying, guys, I'm totally 5'9". We're like, wait a minute. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, it'd be like, it'd be like, it would be like someone saying that there are no mountains in Washington State. And they're not saying that, they're saying it totally dead serious. They have this look of total conviction, total sincerity, and you're thinking either I'm mistaken or this person's absolutely insane and needs to be locked up. Which is
kind of sounds like black pill guys too.
Yeah, it's like things are this bad. Like this person is this deluded. I mean, it's like when I read these articles by these essays or these idiotic things by these guys who went to private schools, privately educated, got a nice job, they're wealthy, and they're talking about how they're systematically oppressed.
They're not systematically.
Right, but I'm thinking like you have the detachment from reality is, I think ordinary people struggle to comprehend that, especially people who are poor. They're like, how can this person possibly think that they are better off than someone who lives paycheck to paycheck and, you know, can only buy cheap beer while this person's driving? I mean, I even heard that once with a guy I knew who was driving this fancy car, and I'm just looking at it and he's wearing this nice suit and he's talking about how he's oppressed. I was like, I want to be oppressed then, man. I want to drive. I want the oppression that comes with that car. Does it come in black?
They're mentally oppressing themselves, but that's about it.
Well, it's
then you have these retards that think that if you have to do something via hard work, then you're oppressed. No, that's why you fucking do it. The hard work. You don't have shit handed to you. People have had shit handed to them all their fucking lives, and they think once they don't, all of a sudden they're magically oppressed. No, jackass, do the work.
Well, they're also projecting, is what they're doing. They're projecting when here's a good, if you think like us, take everything you hear from the propaganda outlets and from the psychos and the spurgs and retards and reverse it. And imagine that they're saying that about themselves, and suddenly the whole world makes sense. Like if you just flip everything they say and have it imagine that they're talking about themselves instead of you, their insanity makes sense. They're talking about themselves. And that might actually
you just described social media.
Right. And you might actually that might be effective rhetoric depending on the circumstances and how you phrase it, but just saying, you know, thank you for telling me all about yourself. You know, somebody says you're like, all this other stuff in that, but I think one of the more effective ones is just, yeah, it sucks. I guess it sucks to be a loser, right? You know, somebody's basically whining and complaining to you, and you just say to them, you know, I'm sorry, but I guess it sucks to be a loser. Like because then you're kind of getting at the heart of the matter. They want to be pitied, right? Yeah. They don't want you to admire them. They say, pity me and give me and do what I say. Be out of pity, right? Like this is another reason why identity politics, and this goes on both sides of the aisle, you know, whether it's left or right, and why I can't really stand any of it. Even when I agree with some of the stuff that these people say, is identity politics is rooted in being in a victimhood mindset. And that is a fundamental basis of a narcissist, is that they are perpetually and eternally a victim. So who do you think is going to be flocking in droves to identity politics? Is going to be narcissists. And they're going to
you'll learn that very quickly. Like I said, I worked in the psych field for 12 years, and you learn very quickly that the root of most mental illness is surrounded by a huge towering ego. Yeah. And not in a good way. I think an ego is good to get shit done. You have to think somewhat highly of yourself in order to improve yourself. And then it just kind of goes along with what the safety doc was talking about. He says, Vince, and hard physical labor. I grew up doing physical labor. I helped open up a lumber yard. I worked in delivery. One of my first jobs was landscaping. I had my own landscaping business at age 14.
Oh, wow.
So nothing was ever handed to me. I mean, there were some instances where I had help from my parents at the time, and
well, yeah, at 14, it's like we're not expecting you to be.
I mean, exactly. And you still, when you were younger than that, you had an allowance, you know, a couple bucks a week, but you had to cut the lawn. You had to take out the tree. You had to do something for that $4 or $5. There was some kind of suffering or work ethic went along with that reward.
I also did.
Fortunately, I carried that, and most of the guys in the chat and people listening to this, especially the older dudes, they've carried that with them through their lives, and it serves them well.
Yeah, I did to pay for college. I worked 2 years during the summers at Home Depot doing like outside loading and unloading stuff, and I worked the hottest summer on record in my hometown. This was back in 2009. And it went up to 105 degrees. Now this is on the west. This is on the coast, like not the coast, but like near sea level. So the humidity and near,
it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
Well, yeah, the humidity is high there. So when it gets to be 105 degrees, it's hot. And I was loading thousands of pounds of concrete mix onto these trucks and whatever, stuff like that. But it never occurred to me like my life was tough or anything like that, because I found
it's just what you had to do.
I always had a book in hand.
You signed up for it. It's not like
I signed up.
You signed up. You're like, this.
Well, you know what? Real men, masculine men, crave not hardship, but challenges.
Yeah, they want a challenge. They want something to overcome. I mean, that's just we're wired that way.
Right.
I mean, I've spent hours out in the sun and fucking loading lumber, roofing tiles and lumber, and then doing roofing and all kinds of shit. Like, what the fuck? And these kids today just have no idea. Well, we talked about this before. When we were younger, parents yelled at you to come inside the house. Now, parents have to yell at kids to get your fucking goddamn ass outside. Get your fat ass outside and get some exercise.
Yeah,
like, exactly. And when you were younger, you don't even feel. I don't even remember complaining or feeling the heat or humidity when I was a kid. I didn't care. I just wanted to be outside. You wolfed down your dinner, your lunch, even if you even came home for lunch, and you ran back outside until the sun went down. Shit.
If we want to go down like kind of a geeky, since we were talking about World War III books and predictions and stuff like that, I almost wonder if it's going to be a technological advantage in some ways, not entirely, but in some ways, if you took a child who was born today and you taught him to not depend on technology only when you absolutely needed it. So when you needed to do something, you did it, but you limited its involvement in your life. I think that actually by the time they become 20 years old, we're going to be living in an environment where being offline and being able to operate offline is going to be almost like a superhuman power.
Well, it's flipping it. Yeah, absolutely. It's like before when you didn't have it, you're like, oh, I wish I had this thing that I could look up this answer really fast. And now that you have it instantaneously, you're like, like I think I wrote a newsletter post about this or something when I was looking at the stars one night after I'd finished up a cigar. It was like in the fall or maybe early winter. And rather than look at my phone, I went and grabbed my astronomy book and just wanted to know more about what I was seeing. It was like I didn't need that information that fast. It wasn't detrimental. And I wanted that journey of looking it up myself. Getting the book, holding the flashlight in the dark and looking up at the sky and then taking notes and just enjoying that little journey rather than holding my phone up to look at fucking don't get me wrong, the information very quickly when you need it, it's convenient, but it takes the enjoyment of the journey away. And I think that's the card catalog. Exactly.
I just came up with a great idea for a short story is a kid going on a modern journey to a library somewhere where he's got to look up a book that his dad says, no, you're not going to look up the thing online. I want you to actually go look it up there, because if you do, you're going to appreciate the information you've obtained a lot more than if you just looked it up with the flick of a phone, right? And it makes my life a lot easier, but also the journey is as important as the destination.
Absolutely. And that's why it's good to have those things. It's good to be able to do that. Like, I love maps. I collect old maps. I still do orienteering with my compass. It's a skill that every man needs to have. I mean, it is so incredibly easy to shut down power grids.
Yeah.
And the fact that it hasn't happened astounds me. But when it does, and everyone's shit out of luck, you're gonna need these skills. I mean, that's just the way it is. Like the fact that we just don't have landlines anymore astounds me as well.
That's actually why I want to at some point switch. I have a satellite landline. I want to switch it to an actual landline.
Landline, and also what you were talking about with CB radios. Definitely keep on that route.
Yeah, I got my. I need to practice my Morse code a little bit, but I've still got the CB radio.
I was thinking about getting one too. Now, turn that shit off, dude. Cool.
Yeah, it's the weather station.
That's right.
Well, I want to know if a nuclear bomb's gone off when the power goes out. Right.
There you go. Rob's got his pussy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a question, Rob. Do you have cat carriers for your motorcycle?
It's funny you say that. I do not. But when I was married and we had the goddamn, what was it? Dachshund mix Kiwi, my dog that the ex-wife got. We actually had a carrier for the motorcycle for the dog.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we would have to take her with us because friends and family did not want to house sit a dog. They didn't mind house sitting cats because, cats
there's
are
no need to fucking do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, you just showed up, you fed them, you watered them, you cleaned the shit box once in a while, and they were good. But the dog, on the other hand, there's some maintenance that goes into that. So the dog, more often than not, would go with us when we would do our motorcycle adventures. And we had a carrier that she would go into. And it's funny because I remember we stopped in Mexican Hat, which is down towards the southeast corner of Utah. And we'd stop there for gas and take a break and whatnot. And this guy was getting ready to leave, I guess, if I remember right. It's just some dude in his car. And we come rolling up and, he's kind of looking at us and our bikes because there was 4 or 5 of us together. And, my ex-wife hops off her motorcycle, pulls the dog out of the carrier. And the guy, sees the dog, hit the ground and do the shake and the look around. And then she starts looking for a spot to piss. And this guy was so fascinated by the whole thing that he did an interview. He had a recorder with a microphone. And he walked up to my ex-wife and is like, I'm writing a book. And he also took some pictures. He's a photographer. But he was writing this book that was going to be about his travels across the country, where he was taking pictures and doing stories, getting interviews with various people. And he wanted to talk to her because, here we are, these vagabonds on motorcycles, because we looked every bit the part, no helmets, fucking t-shirts. We just came out of a dust storm. So we looked like Pigpen from fucking Peanuts. We got dust flying off. And shit.
Nice.
Oh yeah, dude. We looked totally like right out of the Road Warrior series, just filthy as fuck. Dirt in our hair, dirt in our face, dirt in our teeth, because we're just grinning ear to ear riding through that fucking dust storm, even though it stings like a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're filthy, rotten, dirty. We still had another, probably another hour and a half, 2 hours to go because we were staying in Arizona that night. So we weren't spending too long because I was the one that was like, all right, break it up. The party's over. We got to roll. If we want to get there by nightfall, we got to get going. You can't be sitting here all day yapping fucking this guy's ear off. So let's go.
Right.
But it was just funny that when you mentioned the carriers, I hadn't thought about that in a long time, that it's like, oh shit. Yeah. We used to have a fucking carrier for the dog. So yeah, the dog used to go with us, it was fun.
Cool.
But I don't have one anymore. Those fucking carriers for motorcycles, dude, they are expensive.
Really?
Yeah. The one that we had for that little dog was like $270 or something.
Oh shit! I'm just thinking like strap a cat carrier to it with bungee cords. To
no
the,
shit.
To the bitch seat. Kind of how this go.
Yeah, that's kind of how this was. Except my ex-wife had her luggage facing riding bitch basically, And then she had the dog carrier strapped to the luggage rack on the back of the motorcycle with all of its cables and harnesses and shit to hold it there. And so, you know, we were all loaded down with fucking gear. I mean, I had all the beer and the alcohol and whatnot on my bike. So if I'd have been pulled over,
the important shit,
yeah, I had the important shit. But it would have been interesting if I'd have been pulled over because we were in a dry county too. It's like, oh, I found that out, not through the police, but I did find that out later that it's like, where did you guys get alcohol from? And it's like, why? Well, this is a dry county. They don't sell it here. I brought it with me, which was true.
Pardon me. Burping up a storm over here. After you've, yeah, I always wear my helmet.
I had a friend that died on a motorcycle ride. I got to watch him die. I held him as he died, actually, and he had a helmet on, and it didn't matter because the car that hit him hard enough that it didn't matter. All it did was kept his head on his shoulders. He lived for about 5 minutes. And then he stopped breathing, and that was that. The kinetic impact of that car hitting him at 55 miles an hour stopped everything. So,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
so.
No words on that one, man.
Well, like I said, I had front row seats. I got to see him get hit, and then I got to go and hold him while he died. So, it's the way it goes. When it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah.
No shit, Sassed. Okay, Karen. There's always got to be somebody. All the forums and shit I belong to, we get into that whole argument every time. There's the guys that don't want to wear helmets versus all the gear all the time guys that, you know, they fully suit up with everything, you know, and you know, to me, it's you do you. You want to wear a helmet, wear a helmet. No shit. You want to wear a helmet, wear a helmet. You want to wear full gear, wear full gear. You want to wear a fucking t-shirt and shorts. I don't recommend the shorts part, but hey, you want to do that and wear flip-flops, do what the hell you want to do. Hey, what's up, Cameron?
Oh, I've seen dudes like on crotch rockets with fucking wife beaters and flip-flops. I'm like,
oh, dude, yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Oh, it is. I see that shit here all the time.
Interstate 295, they're like 75, 80 miles per hour, popping wheelies and shit. I'm like, okay.
You who are about to die, we salute you.
No shit. Well, my favorite is you see the guy in the wife beater, the shorts, and the flip-flops on his bike, but he's got a helmet on, god damn it. You know, and I'm just like, okay, so pick one. Either suit up, wear some pants, wear some fucking boots, wear a jacket or something to go with the helmet, or just take the fucking helmet off and fly with your sunglasses on. You know, if you're going to go full on fuck the world, then just don't even bother with the helmet. Because at least here in Utah, you know, we do not at this time have mandatory helmet laws. And
we have them here in Jersey, but that's fine.
Well, you know, I'm against it because just for the fact I don't want someone telling me what to do.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You should have that option. If you want to, if you want to crack your head open, then that's on you.
Exactly.
That's just the way it is. Same with the seatbelt thing always pissed me off.
Yeah.
There are times I don't fucking wear the thing. I'm like, I'm fucking wearing this piece of shit.
I got so much crap from Karen Clary. One time we were driving and I didn't have my seatbelt on. He's just like, "You're not wearing your seatbelt?" I was like, "No."
Well, was it because the car was dinging with the "you don't have your seatbelt" noise on? Because that's annoying unless you take that shit out.
Yeah, but that's not why he did it. He was just giving me crap, and I was just thinking, all right, well, you know.
All right, there, Mom Clary and Clary.
I was like, do you want me to make my bed too?
And wash your penis.
Yeah, wash your penis. No shit. You know, and like I said, you know, if you want to wear gear, wear gear. If you don't want to wear gear, don't wear gear. You know, that's always been my take with motorcycling. I've worn helmets before, and I like having a full visored helmet when I'm in a hailstorm or a rainstorm. Then it's great having a helmet. You know, because I usually when I do a long distance travel, when I go places, I always pack my helmet because one, there are states like Nevada and California near me where it's mandatory. You have to wear a helmet there or the cops are going to cite you and you're never going to hear the end of it. So I'll wear a helmet there because they say you have to wear a fucking helmet. Plus, like I said, when you're riding into certain weather, having that helmet on is a nice thing because you're not getting stung in the face by that shit.
Yep.
You know, but all in all,
you're riding at night with fucking bugs and shit.
Oh yeah,
nice
that
to have
same
that.
thing. Yeah, have that little bit of extra protection that you're not getting whacked by a goddamn, hornet or something.
Hitting the fucking face with a dragonfly. Fuck.
Oh
that
yeah,
hurts.
dude. Oh,
Fuck.
dude. I had something. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was big, and it hit me right in the lip. I've got a video somewhere I'm gonna have to dig up because I totally got a big old fat lip out of it. And obviously I was not wearing a helmet that day.
Seriously.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was riding through this forested area. It was late at night. And I was going for a ride, and I was just getting pelted. You could see how I put the high beams on. It looked like it was snowing from all the bugs I was going through, and just getting pelted in the face and in the arms. Mm-hmm. All this, fuck.
I think my favorite one, besides the fat lip from whatever the hell it was that flew into me, was I had a hornet. Speaking of hornets, hey, okay, Bullrush is about to start stroking himself here in a second. But I had a hornet fly down my vest, into my shirt, and onto my chest, and it started biting me.
Oh, shit.
While I was riding.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, and so we were like 5 minutes from a gas station, which is where I basically just pulled right off the road because I was like smashing my chest and punching myself, trying to kill the son of a bitch while I'm riding. So I'm all, fucking doing this shit. My ex-wife and all my friends, because I was leading the group when this shit happened, and I start falling back. And they're all looking at me as I'm pounding my chest and grabbing at myself, and they're like, what the hell's going on with him? And I finally just pulled off, and they kind of swung around and came back, and they're like, what the hell's going on? And I'm fanning out my shirt and shit, trying to get this goddamn hornet out of there. I got bit like 5 different times, man. It was crazy. So... vicious little bastards.
Seriously. Fucking dickheads.
Right. So, you always catch something when you do a good motorcycle ride. The story, while it's happening, it's not fun and it's not funny at the time. But later, after the fact, when you're home or you're down for the night, you're chilling wherever you're at, then it's always kind of fun story shit. Mm-hmm. Riding through a salt storm, going from Wendover back to Salt Lake, going through the salt flats, and we had a salt storm come up, and visibility was about 40 feet in front of you is all it was. And then it wasn't dust, it was salt. And that shit got in everything. It's getting into your manifolds, it's getting into your air breathers, it's getting into your fucking goggles where you're scooping that shit out of your eyes as you're riding because you think it's like a mist, but it's dry, granulated, powdered salt.
Yep, you're getting.
And if you had cuts or anything, that shit would get in, salt in the wounds, man. I'm telling you what.
Absolutely. And okay, we have 27 people watching and 19 likes.
What a
come on, man. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Hit the like button and leave a comment later. God damn. You're like a bunch of retarded kids.
I've never had M60 brass go down my shirt, but I've had 44 Magnum brass go down my shirt.
Heat you right up.
Oh yeah, that shit burns. You're aware of that when it goes down, just like that hornet fucking biting me on the chest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Jesus, yeah. And I've had small birds like sparrow size fucking hit me too. That shit hurts. It's like I hear from guys. Oh, that's why you have a windshield, because my Honda doesn't have a windshield. I don't have a windshield or a fairing or anything like that on that.
I don't have that on mine either. No.
And you know what? And I'm not gonna get one. It's like, no, I have a windshield and a fairing on the Indian, and yeah, it can help out in a lot of areas. But at the same time, there's nothing like riding a motorcycle that's naked. A naked bike to me is part of the whole point of riding.
Yeah, I don't plan on having a windshield.
Now, if you're gonna get that, I mean, you go full bore and you get like my dark horse. You get a big bike that is your touring bike, comes with the fairing and the windshield, all that shit. But you don't add it as an aftermarket thing on a smaller bike. Just there's no point.
No. 4 watches are currently retaining semen their owner someone else's. Well, I think you answered your own question there. I know you were being polite, Bacon, but we already know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. That fucking mouthful of cum over there. Spit the dirty dick out of your mouth.
Jesus. Dre indeed. Got some too. Jesus Christ. Yeah, pretty much, Bull Rush. You might as well ride in a plastic bubble. That's so many people I've rode with over the years, and I would be one of the few bikes that would show up with, it's got saddlebags to carry the beer in. It's, I got a luggage thing to throw on the back that you strap on, kind of almost like a sleeping bag. Mm-hmm. And yet no windshield. I'm riding with, a pair of goggles on my head, no helmet, t-shirt, even sometimes wearing my Chuck Taylors, not wearing boots or nothing. And they're just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, dude, I'm here for the fucking ride. I've done all the gear. I've done all that shit. And I'm not going to criticize people who do it. But it's like, if you want to have your windshield and all of your heated gear and your special gloves and all that bullshit, you might as well just fucking leave the bike home and bring your car. Half the fun of riding a motorcycle is being in the elements, even when it beats the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. It sucks at the time, but when you get through it, you're like, that's all right.
Yeah. I rode all through the winter. I didn't have heated shit. I had none of that. It was cold as a motherfucker, but it was invigorating and it felt good.
Yep. Ride long enough, Vince, that your hands turn to claws.
When they're stuck. They're
the fucking handlebars. They're still in that position when you let go. Yep.
Well, that's it. It's the extremities. It's the hands and the legs and the feet.
Hands and the feet.
Yep.
That's the one area that I will be a bitch about and be like, man, give me the extra thermal socks for my feet. The gloves on the hands. Okay, I'll deal with whatever I got. I don't need special gloves. But for my fucking feet, yeah, man, I got to keep those bitches warm in the winter because that shit's miserable. So.
Indeed.
You're right, Sass. The Goldwing is a Honda Accord with 2 wheels. And if that's your thing, cool, you do you. But to me, what's the point in riding at that point? You might as well just take your car.
Yeah.
So that's why I fly with as minimal gear. That's one thing my ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend both learned real fucking quick with me. When we would go riding somewhere, both of them in the very beginning, tried to show up with, 17 days of clothing and shit to go for a weekend. And I'm like, no, I have one luggage bag.
You pack 2 things and you wash the other thing in the sink and wear the other.
Pretty much. It's like this luggage bag, you have to figure out how to make your shit and my shit work together. Because my shit and your shit is going into one bag. So figure it out. And, because women can be crafty sometimes. They can pack shit. Because I'll just throw shit randomly in the bag. I don't care. Mm-hmm. But the women...
backpack.
Yeah, the women would fucking figure it out though, man, and they would get creative, and there'd be, like there's a curling iron in there. It's like, where the fuck? What do you need a curling iron for? You're on a motorcycle. You're not gonna your hair's gonna look like shit later anyway. So who cares? You don't need a curling iron. You don't need all your fucking makeup because guess what? That shit is gonna just attract rocks and bugs and shit, and it's gonna you're gonna have your own version of blackface. There, I said it. It's just gonna be bad. Just don't. Wash your face, wash all that shit off, because that shit's not going to work out when we're going down the road.
Wash your penis.
That's right. Pretty much.
Baby wipe your penis.
Lucky if you have a spare set of heels. Seriously. And they learned real quick. They had their riding shoes or riding boots, and then they had a pair of what we would wear when we got into town type of thing. Mm-hmm. When it was, okay, we're done riding for the day, because sometimes we'd be riding for 16 hours. And it's like, okay, the only time we'd stop is to piss, get gas, get something to eat, and keep on going. And so, yeah, we're down for the night. Okay, put on your different shoes that are a little more comfy or whatever. Yeah, it just got dark in here, Bacon. No shit. So, yeah, there you go. Right there. Literally, that's it. Mm-hmm. Amos got it. Right there. I would even question the 2 pair.
Thanks, Nick.
Seriously, I would even question the 2 pair of pants, Amos.
Wear the ones ones you have, and then one extra. I mean, that would be the 2. The one you're wearing plus 1.
A lot of times where most of my heavy riding would be in the summer, I'd have a pair of shorts and then have my pair of riding pants. And basically, once I got done riding for the day, change into shorts and be like, okay. And then if I needed to wash my pants, then I'm wearing shorts and I'll wash my pants. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
So, pair of riding panties.
Well, TJ and I were Boy Scouts, so we know how to pack light, and we know how to pack correctly.
I'm trying. I have a history of not needing things when I bring them and needing them when I don't bring them.
See, and I always made sure I had room somewhere on my person or on the bike to have the firearm too, or a couple firearms, because you never know what the fuck you're gonna run into. So,
well, there's that too, literally.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen. Everyone in the chat. But where does a flogger go? Well, the flogger, depending upon the size of the flogger, can be rolled up inside a pair of jeans or a shirt. Ask me how I know that. Okay, so with that, we're going to sign off. So everyone in the, we'll go into more detail in another broadcast. So everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. Everyone watching and not in the chat, thank you for joining us. Everyone who hit the like button, we appreciate that. The few people who did not hit the like button,
they're retaining their semen.
Retain your semen somewhere else. We don't need you. Yes, Cameron, take care as well, everyone. It's been good talking and chatting with you as always. Let's do a little quick housekeeping. TJ, where can everyone find you?
At tjmartinell.com.
There you go. Rob.
robsays.net.
There you go. And I am at masculinegeek.com. As always, as ever, there will be another Masculine Geek product and website launching soon. A subscription site. More detail will be forthcoming. If you're on the newsletter, you'll get advance warning and advance notice, maybe even a discount. Discount. Ha-ha. So go to the website. Look for the sign-up box, the Masculine Geek newsletter. Drops once a week on Monday mornings. Late Sunday, early Monday. So you can get a good start to your week, be entertained and informed. We do not spam. It's fresh content. We do not regurgitate old shit. So
we don't retain our semen.
We do not retain. Hell no. Fuck that. It's bad for you. It's bad for your heart. You fuckers. You
bad for your brain too.
You semen retaining fuckers. Everyone. Do not do that. All right, so we're going to sign off. Enjoy the rest of your weeks. Yeah.